Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Hamidenu shomreinu lechayim Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim lechayim lechayim. You are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila. Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Whoa, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Each one of us must play a part. Remember the pain. Each one of us must find the joy. Each one of us, each one of us. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha. Each one of us must start to hear. Must do the work. Each one of us must right the wrong. Each one of us must build the home. Each one of us must hold the hope. Each one of us, each one of us. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila. how we heal, it's how we live, it's how we help, it's how we give, it's how we pray, it's how we heal, it's how we live. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a 10, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב, שלום.
Have you been longing, waiting, searching for a radically inclusive, vibrant, emergent, sweet, traditional, non-traditional, musical, welcoming Jewish space to go deep, to sing, to eat, sometimes to fast, to remember, to heal, to play, and to pray in?
Welcome to Micah, an everybody-friendly, inclusive, multi-generational spiritual community where innovation drives our explorations into and celebrations of Jewish life. A congregation where people of all ages seek to build community and help prepare the world.
Judaism at Micah. Experience it in person or online. For a full list of our services and programs, like us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and visit our website, congregationmicah.org. Shalom Aleichem, may peace be upon you.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
בני ובן בני ישראל
specifying exactly how a commandment was to be fulfilled. And in their system, intention, the Hebrew for intention is kavanah, intention was not a requirement to fulfill a commandment. They pondered, what if instead of being concerned about whether we should light the candles, say in our Hanukkah, in our menorah, from right to left or left to right, what if instead we focused on what it means to find light amidst darkness and how we might do that for others and ourselves? The truth is that some of the most well-known of the 613 commandments do not require specific actions for their fulfillment. So consider the mitzvah, the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. The questions about fulfillment of this mitzvah are obvious. Well, what is love? I may like my neighbor, but he's not at the top 10 list of friends. When do I have to love him? Is it all the time? Does love involve some kind of action? How do I know when I've fulfilled the commandment? See, this kind of commandment stands outside the structure of fulfillment that is so fundamental to Jewish law. And despite this, it is still one of the 613 commandments. Now, it's true of the other ethical commandments, like the injunction to not place a stumbling block before the blind, or to not carry hatred in your heart. But couldn't these commandments serve as models for a different way to think about Judaism as a practice? What I mean is, we commit to observe them not because God commands them, or because we might receive some reward from heaven or this next life. Instead, we commit to observing them because it's how we want to live our lives. We think the world would actually be a better place if we love our neighbor. We would be in a better space if we didn't hate people, even if only in our hearts. We can choose to live in a neighborhood constructed of envy, anger, and hatred, where who you love or what you wear determines your worth and integrity. Or we can live in a neighborhood constructed of compassion, forbearance, and love. In which neighborhood would we in fact be happier? A place of locked doors and locked hearts, or a place of open-heartedness? So with that question for us to ponder, we continue with our Shabbat. This service, we invite the Fair family forward. Wow, that was a lot of alliteration. The Fair family forward to light our Shabbat candles.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kidshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la.
Thank you, Fair family. All right, if you want to take a moment and welcome someone with the words of Shabbat Shalom who is sitting near you, maybe someone you have not yet met in this lifetime or just greeted on this evening, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, give them a Shalom Aleichem, fist bump, a hug, a high five.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bolchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeinchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Invite you to please rise as London continues leading us in the words of the Hatzi Kaddish.
Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Balama divrach hirute v'ayam liich malchute b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael b'gala uv'izman karim
V'imheru, Amen.
Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mavorach Le'olam Olamaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitale V'yithalal Shemei Dekucha B'richu Le'almin Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiran Belma V'Meru. Amen.
Yalalai, 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 yalalai. Yalalai, 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 yalalai. Let's try that together. Yalalai, la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayers? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
Please be seated. So often when night falls, we think of it as the end of a day, but we need to remember that in Judaism, the day begins with evening. And so Shabbat begins as the sun sets, and it gives us the opportunity to be grateful for the blessing of a new day. Not tomorrow morning, but now as the sun begins to set. We start this new day, this day of rest and of peace, with the blessing for evening, Ma'ariv Aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה היצים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך וברוך שמו, המעריב, המעריב, המעריב הרבים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Adonis,
London's going to continue leading us in the words of Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nefshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavenecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am bevshicha bevitecha uvlechtecha vaderech ushochbecha ukumecha ukshartam leot ayadecha v'chayu letotefot beininecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beititecha uvishiarecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzet echem meretz Mitzrayim le'yot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem
Adonai Elohechem emet.
So I began the service this evening talking about the 613 commandments, but now I want to bring our attention to the Big Ten. And of the Big Ten, the 10th commandment in particular, which teaches us what? Thou shalt not covet. So how can emotion be legislated? Because coveting something is an emotion. It might have an action attached to it, but it's a feeling. And our tradition, surprise, surprise, offers many, many answers. One points to the idea that you only covet that which you believe you can have. So whatever belongs to someone else should be considered strictly off limits. And if you think of it that way, you won't covet it. More radically, one Hasidic response reminds us that in the Torah, they are not called the 10 Commandments, they are called the Aseret HaDevarim, the 10 utterances or the 10 sayings. The first, for example, I am the Lord your God, does not exactly fit the structure of the English commandment. It sounds more like a saying. So, Rabbi Yechiel of Zlachov teaches, thou shalt not covet is not a commandment. It's a promise. If you live your life according to the 9 other commandments or sayings, you will not want for anything. While others may be tormented by desires, you will feel grateful. You will feel blessed. You will not, as Shakespeare wrote, find yourself desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. The 10th commandment is in fact the reward for observing the other 9. It is freedom. It is inner peace. We sing this prayer of freedom now.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat tehilot osei fele, norat tehilot osei fele. Yalalai, 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 who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Let's try that together. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. ונאמר כי פד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
So it was beautiful, wasn't it? I feel that. So I'm so glad you just applauded. So we like to pause in the middle of our Shabbat service to just share each other's simchas. Sometimes you come to services and it's been a rough week and maybe there's not a simcha to share, but the beautiful thing about community is somebody else's celebration and joy can be yours as well. So I've already announced that we are celebrating the Great London Fair this Shabbat, which is lovely. But if there's another simcha that you'd like to share with us this evening, I invite you to do so. Does someone have something wonderful that they are celebrating or acknowledging? It could be a birthday, an anniversary.
I'm going to say hi to Jack May and his wife because it's such a delight to have you here. All right, I'm starting in this way. We've got the May clan, and we've got the Fair clan, and this just makes us feel a little happy because we're celebrating the generations. Is this Christ United Methodist Church of Franklin? You don't stick out that bad, but is Amy here? Where's Amy? Amy, I'm happy to meet with you afterwards. For those who don't know, I'm Rabbi Flip. I work for Rabbi Lori Rice. Does someone else have something, an anniversary? Because we got something special here coming in a minute if you don't, that will increase your joy. What do we got?
Hello, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. We have London Fair's grandmother, Shirley Fair, from Los Angeles, who is going to be celebrating her 93rd birthday on March 10th.
Nice. Shirley, happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
So nice.
Honor to have you here from Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
We got something else? What do we got? I'm coming, Wendy.
We'll be celebrating my mother's 92nd birthday.
Oh, we got some wisdom in the room tonight. Yeah, I'm coming over
so
there, Ron.
lovely.
See how this works?
Oh, we have Ron too.
Thank you, rabbis, for London's bar mitzvah. But we cannot not recognize my father-in-law's 80th birthday on the same day as my mother's birthday, March 10th.
It's a big day, March 10th.
Happy birthday, Barry.
All
Mazel tov.
right.
That's what we call family balance. Okay, here's what I got for you this evening. I was doing a little research, and in the very first sort of temple times in Jerusalem, thousands of years ago, Solomon had two entrances built. One for those who were celebrating, and actually one for those who were suffering. And it's sort of like, think about it like a roundabout, right? There's a practical element to a roundabout. You try to get everybody to slow down and to sort of follow a certain traffic pattern. It doesn't always work. But with the Israelites, this is how it would work. Those who were celebrating something, they would enter the courtyard and they would circle from right to left. But when someone who had like a bad week, maybe something awful happened, that person would enter and they would start to circle in the opposite direction. They would go from left to right. Sort of every step against the grain. And every person who passes someone along the way was obligated to stop and ask, Malach, what's going on with you? So one person would say, my daughter is getting married. Congratulations would be the response, right? Mazel tov. Another person traveling in the opposite direction, though, might answer, my father died suddenly. I'm so very sorry, they would say. And so one person would say, I'm a grandmother again, right? And another would say, well, my best friend in the world has cancer. May God bring you comfort. So that everybody would feel the presence
of a holy community and know that they're not alone. That's what we try to do at Congregation Micah. I hold you today so that when tomorrow comes, I know there's someone who can hold me. Today, I walk from right to left. At some point, we will each walk from left to right. So tonight, like we just experienced, our Sabbath joy it's increased because we feel each other's joy, and there is a certain engaged couple that entered our temple courtyard this evening, strutting from right to left. And Bryna and Perseus, you're being ufruffed. You're going to come, please join us right up here. Okay. Anticipation. Okay. Since the dawn of recorded history, couples have chosen to consecrate the act of choosing a mate and beginning a life together. And each religious tradition records this in sort of their own unique way. There is a century-old tradition that calls upon Jewish people to initiate wedding celebrations by having the soon-to-be married couple called here to the bima, what you pointed out as center stage. It's called an ufruf. Try it. 1, 2, 3. Yes, our educational part of the evening. It's Yiddish, and it essentially involves the synagogue appearance of the couple prior to the nuptials, so that we would have the opportunity to bless them before their wedding. And it originated actually from legal requirements in France and Germany, so that the validity of the marriage could be verified, and so that permission could be granted that the couple could marry. All in attendance that grant permission for the couple to marry, say I do on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I do.
Okay, we're off to a good start. Yeah, the next set of I do's will be for you. In addition to just announcing the wedding, an ufruf also gives this entire community, those not invited, people you may not know, an opportunity, as we just experienced in celebrations, to feel some of that love and joy, and to offer also a hearty mazel tov. So on 3, mazel tov. 1, 2, 3.
Mazel tov.
Okay, already we're having a better time and feeling the joy. Oh, because of your wedding. Your joy is infectious, but not like in a coronavirus kind of way. Now, the rabbis of the past tell this midrash, this story, that shows us that it's like an honor to assist in a couple celebration. They say that God braided Eve's hair and bedecked her in fine garments in preparation for the betrothal. So this first primeval sort of pairing of souls was celebrated and performed in a public manner just like this, in the presence of loving witnesses. Bryna, Perseus, you are the greatest grandchildren of that first pairing. And so you carry on our traditions. And that matters to us. And though there are billions of people that may inhabit this planet, Judaism, right, all hinged on the love of lobster. Now, all right, we are a progressive place and we don't judge. We really just want to share in your joy. And we want to continue to do that as you unite your lives in the presence of God's blessing. And so we're here to hope and to pray that your love for each other will be filled with tenderness and with harmony and with really fulfilling companionship, and that you will continue to share that joy and that love with all of us, bringing greater fulfillment and happiness to the entire community. So most importantly, we're here to bless you, and we're going to do that like this. Hold on. I really look up to you. Okay.
yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you both and keep you safe always.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yikoneka.
May God's face shine upon you, and when that happens, may you do that very thing. May you laugh and smile and experience joy.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom, shalom.
May God's countenance shine upon you and through you, and may you and all of the people that love you be granted the greatest gifts. May you always have a sense of wholeness, a sense of peace, and a sense of shalom. Together, everybody says, amen.
We'll continue with the blessings, all of them. Full of love and warmth and joy, this one asking for protection, not just for our lovely couple, but for all of us on this Shabbat.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'ha'amideinu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, to roam from the rise. Amen. 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 Amen.
I invite you to please rise as London continues leading us in the words of the tefillah.
Adonai sefaf techitach ufia kitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח מוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
I invite you to take the next few moments for your own silent and personal prayer, and when you've completed it, to please find your seat.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam, Shalom Rav. Hu melech adon, melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam, v'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה. בשלומך, בשלומך. שלום רב, שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך. שלום רב, שלום רב, על ישראל עמך. תשים לעולם. שלום רב, שלום רב.
We turn our attention and our hearts to those in our community in need of healing on this Shabbat. We think of Shiloh Womack, Skylar Haas, Julie Sapper, Amanda Porter, Joseph Wittenstein, Lee Cohen, Elizabeth Dunn, Hannah Grimes, Steve Bender, Steve Heyman, and Lynn and Ron Hetty. As my hand moves around the room, if you'd like to share a name of someone you are thinking of who could use a little extra love and blessing of wellness from us, please share their names as my hand moves around the room. We ask for refuat hanefesh, a healing of soul, and refuat haguf, a healing of body, a refuat shlema, a complete sense of wholeness for all those in need. In 2017, just before the Unite the Right March in Charlottesville, the Jewish community was wrestling with how to respond to the white nationalists they knew were headed to town, intent on inciting violence. Dahlia Litwick was there with her son, 12 years old at the time, and summed up their predicament. If we engage with the Nazis, we'll lose. If we ignore them, we also lose. I know that many of us feel the same way these days as we try to navigate recent broadsides against the Jewish community. Many of us were thrown when one of the most prominent cultural icons in America threatened to go DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people, whatever that means, whom he had accused of controlling industry and finance. This from the same person who wore a White Lives Matter t-shirt, declared that slavery was a choice, and spread pernicious lies about the murder of George Floyd. As Charles Blow has pointed out, you're hardly a free thinker if all you're doing is regurgitating white supremacist talking points. And yet this 1-2 punch seems to have opened an anti-Semitic Pandora's box. In Los Angeles, which is my hometown and some of yours, neo-Nazis hung a banner on the 405 freeway and saluted Heil Hitler, distributing flyers with names of prominent Jews and accused Jews of being puppet masters and running Hollywood. They're blaming COVID on a Jewish agenda and warning people that the Jews are trying to turn our children queer. And at the same time, overzealous measures to punish Zionists, led by student groups at schools like University of Vermont, Berkeley, and Wellesley, target those who fail to preemptively denounce the state of Israel. No, not all of criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. It's a dangerous and foolish accusation our community too often levels. But when student organizations with often scant understanding of the conflict map and target Jewish-owned businesses when they require Jewish students and scholars to pass a litmus test on Israel before they can fully participate in campus life, it surely does not pass a sniff test, not by a long shot. At the Nation of Islam conference in Chicago 2 weeks ago, Louis Farrakhan delivered an hours-long address titled, "The War of Armageddon Has Begun." And it featured a relentless stream of anti-Semitic commentary accusing Jews of controlling world governments, the media, financial institutions. He promoted the false idea that Jews seek to manipulate and exploit Black people, deceive and destroy America, and engage in other nefarious or illicit activities. Throughout his speech, Farrakhan spoke about the synagogue of Satan. We were considering a new name here, but we're going to stick with Micah. A phrase from the Bible that the Nation of Islam and other anti-Semites often use to refer to Jews in a derogatory manner. Much of the speech read like a laundry list of age-old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracies about alleged Jewish power, as Farrakhan decried the nature and activities of the so-called synagogue of Satan. He said it has destroyed our country. Now, these threats, of course, are not all created equal. There is nothing more dangerous than anti-Semitism condoned and ultimately promulgated by the most powerful people in our nation. And even still, it's painfully clear that any manifestation of anti-Semitism, regardless of its ideological underpinnings, is a toxin that threatens to poison the entire system. And all of them taken together contribute to an even deeper sense of vulnerability in our community. Are we overreacting? No, I don't think so. James Carroll once described anti-Semitism as the bug in the software of the West, an insidious, ever-present glitch in the system that excludes Jews from moral concern and too often paves the way for terrible violence. The conspiracy theory of Jewish power is a dangerous lie, one that has fueled pogroms, expulsions, and ultimately, as we know well, genocide. Anti-Semitism is a bellwether for the health of a society, because when it thrives, racism thrives. When anti-Semitic language proliferates, no one is safe. When violence against Jews is normalized, there is an increase in violence generally, and especially against other minority communities. The anti-Semitic lie endangers not only Jews, but really our very democracy. The world feels upside down at a time when we as a community prepare to celebrate the holiday of Purim, a festive day in which we are meant to turn things on their heads, a joyous Jewish festival commemorating the survival of the Jews who in the 5th century BCE were marked for death by their Persian rulers. Being upside down is nothing new for Jews on Purim. It's a holiday known for the expression nahafochu. In Hebrew, it means nahafochu, to be turned on its head. Purim, which we will celebrate as a Micah community on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., a celebration for all ages, I will tell you, is a subversive story about how Jews reversed the destructive decree against them by the wicked Prime Minister Haman. The intended victims become the victors, and their oppressors, Haman and his family, are punished with a death sentence. Oh, I like that. You're getting ready. We read about Nahafochu in the central passage of the Megillah of the Scroll of Esther, which describes how the holiday should be celebrated. It reads, "The Jews should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day year by year as the days on which the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned, Nahafoch, from them from sorrow to joy and from mourning to holiday. That they should make the days of feasting and joy and of sending choice portions to one another and gifts to the poor." This year, this Purim,
The world feels already entirely upside down. So how then do we turn it right side up? The only way the discourse changes is if we change it. We must remember that anti-Semitism, as Eric Ward teaches, is integral to the architecture of American racism. There is no way to eradicate anti-Black racism while giving a quiet pass to anti-Semitism, and vice versa. Essential to white supremacy is in fact a wedge between Black and Jewish communities. So while I'm relieved that Kanye is facing repercussions for his foul anti-Semitic remarks, I wish people were as aggrieved by his anti-Black racism. And I wish that his anti-Semitic white comrades would be similarly deplatformed. I wish that we could all remember that marginalized populations turning against each other serves only to bolster those already in power. And it is only in partnership and friendship that we can overcome the scourge of anti-Semitism and racism. When Queen Esther expressed fear and hesitancy to approach her husband, the king, about Haman's genocidal decree against the Jews, her uncle Mordecai reminded her, "Do not think that you will escape the fate of all the Jews because you're in the king's palace. Who knows if it is not for just such a time that you have reached this royal position?" The world feels entirely upside down. How are we going to turn it right side up? On this Shabbat and on this Purim, I hope we'll hold our Jewish hearts with tenderness and our Jewish identities with pride. I hope that with every gesture of cruelty and every lie and manipulation, that we'll step deeper into coalition with other targeted communities, remembering that our safety only comes through solidarity. And I hope we'll remember tonight and every day going forward that it takes courage and bravery to do hard things, but the effort is well worth it. Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi and I thought this might be a nice sermon anthem. We sang it a few weeks ago at Shabbat Shirah for Debbie Friedman Shabbat, but this one just never gets old. It's called "Sow in Tears, Reap in Joy." Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. It's the song of the dreamer. From the dark place it grows, like a flower in the desert, the oasis of our souls. Come back where we belong. You hear our longing sighs, our mouths, our lips are filled with song. You can see our tear-filled eyes. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
I invite you to please rise for the Elenu, and anybody who'd like to come and help us open our ark doors at this time and be close to the Torah, please feel free to come forward.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
I'll ask you to remain standing as we honor the memories of those whose yortzites fall on the Shabbat, as well as those who have passed in the last year. Tonight we think of Alexander Stein, Barry Owen, Irma Goldman Cotton, Jerry Glick, Ruth Provisor, Selma Lewis, Sylvia Goldstein, Walter Stern, Sonia Gitchner, Scott Peters, Henry Krakauer, Lynn Davidson, Avi Poster, Wayne Ritt, Jacqueline Glassner, Elizabeth Betty McDonald, Julie Babbitt Kingsley, Stephen Harold Biller, David Sam Olashansky, Dewey Simpson, Paul Richter, Burton Barnett, James Tom Ward Thomas, Nancy Jean Riss, Irving Lloyd Greenberg, Thomas Glynn, Zelda Escrow, Irving Deutschman, Conrad Raymond Jacobs, Margaret Friedman Vaughn, Harvey A. Sevier, Philip Ginsberg, Trevor Clark, Steve Geringer, Robert Charles Levine, Bertram Humble Chalfont Jr., Laura Cass Hockman, Frank Parker, Kent Nolan, Kathleen Guccione, Martin Rabin, Roland Terry Hill, Artis Felix, Stanley Felix, Bonnie Nissen, William Bill Drongowski, Susan Ruckman, George Hahn, B.B. Weinstein, Deborah Siegel, Elaine Dudnick Roth, Jerry Eli, Dorothy Braderman, Marvin Oakes, T.J. Cohen, and Arnold Hyatt. If I have not mentioned the name of a loved one, please do so at this time. We continue with the words of Kaddish Hatom. Yikadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'amad divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitalei, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudashah barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. We say, Zichronam livracha, may the memories of our loved ones be every day for us a blessing. Together we say, Amen. Amen. Please be seated for a few lively announcements.
I know you want to get out of here. I just got to announce a few things. One is that next Thursday morning, in honor of Purim, we have schmooze and booze We're going to experience what it's like when we add alcohol to our political disagreements. Ladies, there is talk of a spring Micah rummage sale. It's a chance to rid yourselves of those things not worth keeping around the house. Please bring your husbands. Okay. Later this spring, my colleague and friend, Father Mark of St. Matthew's Catholic Church, will be offering his favorite sermon. It's called Jesus Walks on Water. I will counter here at Congregation Micah with my version, Searching for Jesus. Okay. Yeah, tough crowd. Finally, I don't know, don't let your worries kill you. Let Micah help. Okay. These jokes are brought to you by Congregation Micah in honor of Purim, which will take place this Sunday morning. Our carnival is preceded by our Purim spiel. If you want a part, there are parts, there are costumes. If you want to just feel the joy, we're practicing at 9, but the whole thing starts at 10 a.m. It is not just for kids. It's a heavy story. It'll be kid-focused. There may also be men in drag. It's worth attending. Again, this Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We, of course, want to give a round of applause to this guy who tomorrow at 10:30 will become a bar brit mitzvah. Preceded also, if you're interested in joining us on Torah study at 9 a.m. on Zoom, that's with me. Okay, now the announcements get serious. Mahjong, we're not serving alcohol this week. That takes place on Tuesdays here on the Micah campus. Micah Reads, virtual book club, March 6th at 7 p.m. under the direction of Julie Greenberg, our education director. Our Aging Parents Sandwich Generation Forum is moving to Zoom this week. So on March 7th at 7:15 p.m., Rabbi Lori and Julie Greenberg and Judy Given will welcome any past or new participants for a check-in with any family updates before discussing other possible topics. On Thursday, March 9th, these two will be leading a song circle.
Yes, if you'd like to learn some of the newest and coolest Jewish tunes, and maybe some old ones too, come join Rabbi Lori and I for some singing, and we'll have a good time.
I don't know why they didn't invite me. Sunday, March 12th. Our senior social group, West of 65. There's a pun. Watch for it. We'll be having a brunch in our social hall. There's no cost to attend. You can RSVP, please, to let them know you're coming. And we hope you'll see you there. Okay, we still need volunteers, as always, to assist in rooming the inn. Our men's shelter, Sunday, March 12th. That's the next time that we will gather here. Donations for warm weather clothing also being collected by our religious school. Sports trivia takes place Tuesday, March 14th, also here in the building at 10:30 a.m. And if you want to serve your Micah community and you know a Micah member who's a great leader, Micah needs board nominations, and those nominations will be accepted through March 15th. You can email Howard Baum with names for suggestions. Women's Circle meets Friday, March 17th. Rabbi Lori engages in texts with those who are around and wanting to study, and Cantor Josh is still leaving a trip to Israel, and now we need, I think, 5 more people.
We'll take you.
Yeah, feel the peer pressure. Mighty is opened its registration. That's our middle school Temple Youth Group, and we're going on an Alabama trip on March 24th and 25th. And so if you are in a middle school or your parents would like to join us, you are welcome too. And lastly, we are accepting small toiletries for Bridges Domestic Violence Shelter this month for our social action drive. How about a round of applause for our extra musicians, and welcoming Evan also to help us with our sound.
Thank you, Evan, on sound, and Joel on vocal and piano. Thanks for being here with us.
All sorts of details can be found, of course, on our website, and you should like us on social media. We are going to invite you to rise one final time as we make a kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchil lanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lamikra'i kodesh, zecher litziat Mizraim. Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim, take a sip. A closing song?
Do a quick motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.
No, I think he did. I just like it's a new job. So perfect. Zach's good for it's just like it's intense. I'm actually playing sax for them tomorrow. I'm sure you could bro.
we do our service, our Bible study online sometimes, because now, people from Virginia Beach sign in.
Any state or country can.
Anybody can Zoom on in.
Oh wow.
You want to come tomorrow morning on? Do you have good internet connection? Everybody's coming.
I do. I do.
All right, so when I say about the Torah, what I really mean is anything I can read that might help inform me about who I am and what my role in the universe might be. Right? And sometimes the New York Times article can do it. Not usually, but it's something about sacred literature that can really inform something about my life. So we have the Torah, and we have the Israel piece, and the last piece I'm going to talk about now is the God piece. You do not have to believe in God to be Jewish. Again, we can take that later right out. There are plenty of people who are Jewish who do not believe in God. Now, I'm glad I believe in it. I do believe in God. And what you experienced tonight was a storytelling prayer experience, which means we took the highlights of the Bible and we tried to relive them or re-experience them. So at the very beginning, God says, let there be light. So what did we do at the first beginning? We let this go. Right? There was a song where she said freedom and hope. We sang the it was going on and on, right? It was about who is like you. That's the very same words in the Bible, in the book of Exodus, when the sea splits. That's why I put the image of the sea splitting. Who is like you that can do these miraculous wonders? That's redemption, that's liberation, that's freedom, that's hope. There was a prayer, the evening prayer. It's hard because it's Hebrew a lot of it, right? So, and that talks about revelation, or the fact that we believe a sacred purpose was revealed to us. We have a mission. We are to partner with the creating God and making the world a better place. And so, sort of like Native Americans would chant around a fire, that's the story that we tell. Yes?
What does that say?
Not tell. No. This is the Ten Commandments. Ani Anochi I'm Adonai your God. And then in the text, now we're going to get up because we're going to look at this one. Okay. Don't be shy. Walk right up here. Come up here. Come up here. Just come up. Just come up. Adults can do it too. So, this is the Bible in its scroll-like form. And tomorrow morning, that kid who came up here, how old are you guys?
12.
Right.
I'm 12.
Do you feel for that poor kid tomorrow who is also 12 years old, who's going to walk in a room full of people tomorrow and sing?
12. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the Ten Commandments?
Hop on up.
Are those the
You
Ten
can come
Commandments?
closer. It's more fun if you come sing.
Are those the Ten Commandments?
Touch the wood.
Oh God,
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
seen a scroll like
So,
this.
so this in Hebrew is read right to left.
I never seen a real scroll.
Well, you've seen one now. Grab it right there. So Hebrew is read right to left, and this is for them. So there's an old joke about Henry Kissinger once said to Golda Meir, first, I'm a man, second, I'm an American, and third, I'm a Jew. And Golda Meir said, in our country, we read from right to left. Okay, so here's what happens. There's a story, and the story gets sung like it's opera. You ready? It goes something like this. Ki tetzei mechane el oivecha v'nishmareta mikol dabera. So if you spoke Hebrew, it would sound something like, and you shall be commanded while in the camp to be careful of the enemy. You got the idea? I'm not much for it. So the way we sing it, the trope, the musical notes, go back to the 9th century of the Common Era.
So
that's over 1,000 years ago, by a group named the Masoretes. You ever seen something that says a Masoretic text? No? Anyone? So if you look on a Bible sometimes, it'll say Masoretic pointed. It means that the text itself has the musical notes and the vowing they put on them. So if you look here, there's all these extra marks in here that are not located here. We know those marks go back to the 9th century of the Common Era because they wanted to preserve, and they didn't have, DVDs and digital way of capturing the music, the way to chant the story. We know the words are thousands of years older than that, and it was an oral tradition. So they would. So the story is chanted like you would think, like Abraham took the knife. So if you get into it, you sort of. All right, questions you guys have about any of this? Yes. That's Cantor Josh. Yeah.
Bro, so that's why the books were actually just to right to left. That's why they were reversed.
Yes. They weren't wrong. Yes.
I was right the whole time.
Take it easy, Josh.
I was right.
Thank you.
Say that they're technically not reversed.
So all of the scrolls actually have exactly the same
That
thing.
was right to left.
And if I were to take this to Australia or to New Zealand or Hawaii and they had a scroll, exactly the same thing. And if you see, there are actually breaks in the scroll because it's animal skin, and a special scribe writes out the whole thing.
What the?
I know.
Must be so cute.
I can't even read this language.
This is handwritten.
Gosh, I feel so bad.
So we have, like a lot of synagogues, what's called a Holocaust scroll. There were a number of Catholic priests that were able to preserve scrolls and hide them, bury them in cemeteries in
Like
Prague,
that?
because
Like
that's where
that?
Hitler was going to put his Jewish museum.
Oh, like that?
Yeah, well, actually, it's the...
I learned about this.
I think it's this one in the end, yeah.
I learned about this.
Yeah, so we saved it. We saved this scroll from Alabama.
Alabama!
They just had a very small community that was not able to maintain itself anymore.
Oh, that's just sad.
Yeah. Other questions you guys have?
That's fine.
Questions about what you saw tonight? Was there anything that was particularly moving or particularly confusing?
I'm just saying that actually I was so shocked about the Ten Commandments was actually